podcast
who aren't on Spotify.
Hallowed be
thy recording equipment.
thy swampdom come. Podcasting will be done on Earth, and here I am in my closet. Welcome, everyone, back to The Swamp with a very interesting and sort of off-the-beaten-path episode for us this week. But thank you for listening. We are here to talk about Jesus Camp, and this is our podcast. We cover a different movie every week, and it's called The Swamp, and it's an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
Oh, and this is whack as fuck, guys. Like, last week we thought it got whack, but it's just getting progressively whacker, I think. And this is one of my favorite, like, I don't know why this movie tickles me, because I love things that are, like, equal parts upsetting and hilarious, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, this hits the nail on the head.
Oh, but it's, like, also I can't help but laugh. But we're covering, so we've never done a documentary before.
No, this is our first documentary.
And it would certainly take, I think, a very special, like, sort of situation. We're not really, like, a fact-oriented podcast, so we're not really going to be, like, telling this is not a deep dive on, like, evangelical Christianism and its relationship to, like, the Republican Party. That's not what this is. But this just happens to be a movie that's whack as fuck that I want to fucking talk about with you, because you've never seen it.
I've never seen it. Yeah, no. The only deep dive we're going to be doing here on this podcast today is on blasphemy. So if, like, Christianity is your jam, I would highly recommend you not listening to this, because I can't guarantee any of the things that I say aren't going to be upsetting.
Yeah, that's also true. I do think I know our target audience enough to know that, like, y'all are a bunch of, like, gay 20-year-old women, like, who, like, definitely probably do not subscribe to, like, extremist religious values. But
for the
I do want to say, yeah, I don't want anyone to think that we're, like, making, like, blanket statements about, like, religion as a whole. I'm not trying to, like, I don't know, make fun of anyone or anything. It's specifically about this evangelical Midwestern camp that is abusing children and trying to indoctrinate them into religious extremism. And it's a huge problem. And this came out in 2006. And it feels so relevant. Watching this in a post, like, overturning of Roe v. Wade world is fucking crazy, because these people continue to win. They keep winning. And it's insane. And this, I think, what I like about this documentary is it's not trying to give you a historical breakdown or a structural breakdown of this religious system. It's just a moment in time, this one specific thing, an insight into this one thing to give you a glimpse. Because I don't fucking live in Missouri. I don't live in middle America. Like, you and I would say both had, like, relatively negative experiences with religion growing up. And we had, like, the good end of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they told you were invalid because you were a test tube baby. And they told me that gay people don't exist because God didn't create them. And we were both, like, fucking Catholics in Massachusetts, the most liberal state in America. So, like the fact that we felt some type of way about it means that these kids are in it so deep, and it's so fucking sad. And I'm sure nothing has changed. I promise
it's
you,
terrifying.
Between now and 2006, nothing has changed.
No, it's gotten much worse. Like, seeing, like, watching, like, like you said, it feels so relevant today. And, like, watching this and seeing where America has progressed in the last 17 years makes so much sense. Like, there's I think I looked up the stats. There's 13,000 mega churches in the US now, with, like, it's like over 2,000 people attend, like, weekly. Like, the stats on that are insane. Like, it's only ever gotten worse. Like, it's really fucked. One thing I didn't realize watching this was how big of a role George Bush played. I did not realize. Well, I just did not realize he was an evangelical.
Well, so I don't know if he was evangelical or not, but I know that he was a Christian, and he was very vocal about being a Christian. I don't know if he was specifically evangelical or associated himself with, like, evangelicism. My knowledge of it is very surface level, but I know that it's called charismatic Christianity, and it's basically like Pentecostalism, evangelicalism, and it's all really based in that sort of, like, physically feeling the Holy Spirit and God within you. So it's a lot of music, it's a lot of the speaking in tongues and the writhing around. It's a lot of, like, feeling God, like physically feeling God is a big part of this, which is why these mega churches, they do the big performances and the acts and they get really loud with it, and that's their whole thing. But we'll get around to Ted Haggard, but at the end, the mega church in Colorado that they show at the end, Ted Haggard was like a close personal friend and like informal advisor to George Bush. So like he was like, whether it was like super public or not, like, yeah, he was like in this shit, and they clearly fucking love him. And I don't even want to know if these fucking people did, like, you know, they're bowing down to George Bush. What were they doing for Trump? Like, just fucking circle jerking over a cardboard cutout of him. Like,
absolutely,
God.
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing has changed, even in the slightest. But do we want to give a basic recap of what this documentary is about?
Yeah. So this, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite movies, but for some reason it's just like a movie that's had like a really profound, like I will go back and rewatch this probably once a year just because it cracks me up, but it also like makes me think in I don't know, in a way that just a lot of documentaries, and it's surface level, like kind of not an easy watch because it is emotional, but it's pretty short. It doesn't do the like statistical fact dumping that a lot of documentaries do. So I'd say it's like an easy watch in that way.
It just sits you there and has you absorb.
Yeah, and it's like a human interest story, like, basically.
Again, and it's very much like, I like a documentary that sits people down and gets all of like the interviews and everyone's point of views. This is very much not that. It's just a point of the camera and let it go kind of thing. And every now and then I do enjoy one of those, and especially for this context, I think it worked super well. Because I don't want to hear everyone's opinion about Christianity and everything like that and where you're coming from. Like, show me, don't tell me. Like, I think your actions right now speak louder than whatever sort of weird rationale you're going to try and give me.
For sure. And the documentary was obviously made with like an abject, like objective of trying to show that this is like, kind of they objectively relate how these mega churches have influence over politics in so many ways, and yet when confronted with this, the people in power of these churches be like, well, no, it's not a political thing. We do all bow to a cardboard cutout of George Bush, and yes, the evangelical population in America is so big that if we all vote for the same person, they win. Yep, that's how this works.
The quote that was like so easy in the film that says they're so usable to Christianity, talking about young kids, like really sets the fucking tone for that, dude.
But basically, it's this 2006 documentary, Jesus Camp, and we kind of open with this church like performance, so we get a vibe of like what their church is. It's like kids in camo face paint. Number. Like, choreography to the nines, flag twirling, kids down the aisles. Like, we know that this is a big production, a church where these people have a lot of time on their hands, is what I'll say. And we kind of get introduced to Miss Becky Fisher, who's clearly like the Abby Lee Miller of
that's a great evangelical.
Of evangelical Christianity, that she just sort of shows up and she's like, all right, let's all speak in tongues, and a 5, 6, 7, 8, and which I don't know. I mean, again, I think you and I had pretty like soft surface level interactions with religion growing up, and I don't know what it's like to be in something like this fucking intense and deep. Like when little Rachel was talking about dead churches of where they sit there and don't really sing and they all just like hum along. That's what fucking Catholicism was to me. Like, you show up for an hour on Sunday and you just sit there and zone out while some man goes like, and, like, no.
If you're lucky, they're playing the guitars and not the organ that week.
Yeah. But these people are going so hard.
Here's the thing, these kids are A-list actors.
We can get into that. They are just I wish that they taught these kids to believe in themselves and not in higher powers, because like they are also intelligent. They seem like wise beyond their years, and it's because they're just regurgitating religious shit that their parents have told them. But like I see something in all of these kids that I'm like, wow, if you just had like a supportive and not like, you know, diminishing upbringing, you could like really be like a special person. I don't know.
Yeah, if we just put you in one like middle school play, your life could have been entirely altered.
Little Levi with the rat tail, come on, he was born for public speaking. He's great at it. When he's like working on his little bits, he's doing his uhs and ums, like he's like, I need to sound relatable. But also these kids are fucking scary. I'm also not going to try to like make fun of kids because I know that it's like the conditions that they were brought up in. It's not their fault that they're acting like this, but like it's fucking hilarious just how fucking insane these kids are acting because they are clearly such a product of this bullshit that their parents have fed them, and we see them all like getting homeschooled and being fed this just like absolute like science isn't real type bullshit that's just so crazy, and basically being told that they're warriors of God that need to go out into the world and convince everybody of like God's majesty, and it's so upsetting. But so basically we get a introduction to what this church is, and then we kind of get an intro to the kids, and the three kids that we focus on are Levi, who's the boy with the rat tail, and his whole thing is that he like wants to be like a youth pastor. He wants to be like a child pastor. He really wants to like get up there and speak and be a part of it. And then little Rachel. Oh, but also so Levi, we kind of get the insight into the homeschooling thing, right? So it's like his mom telling him about like creationism and being like, if you go to school and they told you were a stupid idiot for believing in God, how would that make you feel? Already creating this like us versus them narrative that anyone who isn't exactly like you is your enemy and your opponent, and that you are better than them and it's your job to enlighten them, and that they are always going to think that you're dumb and stupid and it's your job to convince them otherwise, which is a horrible mindset to be putting on a Levi is 12 here. That's a 12-year-old boy. And evil Becky specifically says that the prime age that she wants to target kids at is between 7 and 9 is her, where they are the most impressionable and when they become the most useful to her. She uses that word that they are so useful. Disgusting. Why are you bragging? Why are you bragging about manipulating children? Oh my God. But so Levi's a little out, but he clearly has you know, drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever, because she comes up and asks him, like, what's your story? And he's like, when I was 5, I was saved. And that's another big part of this kind of Christianity. God,
yeah. Is that you have to be saved. You have to be born again. Yeah,
most of them before they're 13 have a like born again experience where they like hear the voice of God and become, a part of this religion. He's like, I was 5 and I just didn't think I could get anything out of life. And that's when I was
nothing
saved.
Was fun.
You were, because your parents were like borderline abusing you. Like, because all you do is go to church. So obviously you're going to invest like what you think life's meaning is into that. If that's like, you don't go to school, you're not allowed to have hobbies, and all you're allowed to do is go to church and do church shit. Like, so fucked up.
That's boring.
yeah, right? So yeah, might as well lean into it, I guess. Might as well get into it. But then
I would also like to be delusional if that was like my situation.
Right? Yeah. I mean, they don't have any other options really. But so then we meet little Rachel.
Oh and God, Rachel's like the girl that like she thinks she's like a better Christian than everyone.
Yes, she's the one who's like dead churches when they're not singing. The way that other people praise God is wrong, and we're right.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh God.
You're basically introduced to her praying to her bowling ball to help her get a strike. Or to like get like knocked down a couple pins in bowling, and like she's immediately like walking up to like some poor woman in the bowling alley being like, I just know God is like speaking through me. I feel the Holy Spirit. God is thinking about you, and like hands her a little pamphlet and everything like that. It's so fucked up. And she goes and she like tells her dad, and he's like so proud of her, and he says, way to be obedient.
He's a way to be obedient, Rachel. Disgusting. And then we meet probably like one of my favorite little stretches is little Tori, who loves to dance.
Dancing to Christian rock.
She loves to dance, but she has to make sure that it's for God, because people will notice if she's dancing for the flesh. And she does do it sometimes, but that's something that she has to get over and let go, because when she's dancing for the flesh, that's not Christian for her. She has to be dancing for God. What the fuck kind of like fucked bullshit? Because Tori's the youngest. Levi's 12. Rachel, I believe, is 10. Tori is 7.
Yeah.
And so this little 7-year-old girl is saying, if I'm dancing for the flesh, people will notice and know that I'm not a good Christian. They're teaching these kids that everything they do is going to be scrutinized, and that they have to be so hyper. You are giving these kids the most insane, like, OCD anxiety that, like, you're just instilling in them that everything they do is wrong and bad. And I feel like that, with that sort of upbringing,
you're telling Catholic those kids guilt, dog.
But you're also telling those kids, like, not to trust their own intuition or their thoughts or beliefs, because you're saying that if this higher, if everything you do is bad. So every thought you have, if any of these kids were to ever think, like, I feel unsafe in this situation, they would never ever have the tools, the social tools, to, like, deal with that or get help, because they're being told that everything they do is, like, it's a higher power speaking to them through, like, religious, Holy Spirit. And that's the part of this that there is a big debate whether these kids were abused or not, whether it's just they nothing illegal happened. I'm sure all these fucking kids' parents signed all the paperwork to send them to these camps, like, nothing illegal happened. But I would maybe kind of tiptoe on the line of, like, well, it's abusive, like, especially the ostracizing them and putting them in these, like, hypersensitive environments where they're basically all being forced to cry and scream and say that they're sinners, like, that part to me, especially if something like church is such a big part of your life, and you're being told that you're the worst kind of person, and you're 10.
Yeah, well, I know there was one other kid, Andrew, who he didn't get a lot of the spotlight, but he was kind of like one of the other side kids that got put on the spot. And his whole thing was, like, he kind of, like, at an early age, he was, like, doubtful, and that made him feel really shitty. But Andrew, I did a little research after watching this, like, to do, like, a where are they now kind of thing. No shock.
He's the only one. All the rest of them are still in it, except for him, is what I gathered. All the rest
of them are still evangelical Christians. Andrew left, dabbles in psychedelics and, like, engineering and spirit, like, some other kind of, like, spirituality, which is probably a lot healthier than whatever the hell is going on with the evangelicals. And he even said he was asked if he thought it was abuse, and he gave a yes and no answer, because it is such a gray area. But, like, Jesus, like, a great it's quote. Disgusting. So like, the scene that really fucked me up, like you said, this movie is, like, funny because it is so ridiculous, but also, like, it's vile. Like, there's one scene, it's kind of like the I don't know, that big part in the third act, I guess, where it really comes to a head, and it's this guy is preaching to all these, like, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds about anti-abortion, and it's so disgusting. Like, these kids do not need to know that. There are 5-year-olds in that crowd. Like, there's no need. And it made me, like, this movie was, like, pretty infuriating the entire time, but this made me fucking angry.
And a big part about that I noticed this time around is that guy, all I know about him is just, like, his thing is life. That's the brand, is life, and it's obviously it's a pro-life Christian organization, and we see him talk to the kids at camp, and then we see them again later in Washington, D.C., like, protesting outside the White House for whatever reason. I don't know, but he basically says to all of them, I usually talk to big people, meaning, like, adults, but today I'm going to talk to you guys. And he shows them a bunch of diagrams of, like, the gestational periods of a fucking fetus. And to me, I'm like, so they brought him in out of, like, he usually does this shit for pro-life adults, which is its own issue to be dealt with. But he openly states that this is not a children's program. So they're bringing him in to do this kids camp when that's not something that there probably are no pro-life children's fetal prayer, performers or whatever this guy would identify as, event, person.
Yeah.
He is just like, I usually talk to big people, but today I'm here for you. And then he says, God formed you in your mother's womb. You're not just a piece of protoplasm, whatever that is. Again, with the anti-science shit, protoplasm is the fucking part of the cell that makes you alive. So yeah. What if God made you? Yeah, but he also did make your protoplasm because that's why you're fucking existing. You fucking idiot. That's all the anti-science shit. Like when Levi's doing his little homeschooling bit, and it's like this weird
that shit's fucked.
That weird like dinosaur like puppet like as a news anchor being like we didn't all just come from a bunch of goo. We came from God and creationism. Like who is making these radical Christian homeschooling videos? What is the market for that? Who is in the production studio making puppets for this shit?
We all got it. VeggieTales, like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's true, but VeggieTales also did not tell us that science was fake, and if it did, I don't remember that.
No, I don't think it did. But like, still, it's in the same vein.
If this is like Bill Nye. For like anti-Bill Nye, right? Like we all watched Bill Nye in school.
Yeah, but it's a puppet dinosaur, which like you can obviously see how much validity there is there.
So insane. Yeah, but so I think that's maybe kind of when it comes to the head of being the most upsetting, and also evil Becky Fisher kind of goes on this rant where she says some of you are hypocrites and phonies, and you pretend when you're at school. Like, you pretend while you're here to love God, but when you're at school with your friends, you don't live God's word. And so you all need to get up here and atone for your sins. And then she fucking pours Nestle Pure Life water on them. That's why this movie to me just goes from like 0 to 100 so fast of being devastating to like, I'm sorry, but I'm cracking up. She's pouring Nestle Life water on these kids while also like destroying their brain chemistry. It's absurd.
While she's praying over the Microsoft PowerPoint so that the devil doesn't fuck with her PowerPoint.
Oh my god. She's like, God bless this equipment. We speak over the PowerPoint presentation. The devil, we know how you love to mess up technology. Honestly, hey, maybe I have tech issues myself. Maybe I should start praying over this recording equipment because I have had my fair share of technical difficulties on this podcast, and maybe it is the devil. Maybe I need to take a little Becky Fisher. I checked up on like what her social media, because she's still alive, and I was checking up on like
unfortunate.
And so I did look up this camp. It got disbanded. This camp got like shut down basically. But then she obviously just opened. Okay, also discussion. It's called Kids on Fire. Is the name of the camp. In Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Like, I'm sorry, that sounds like a bit from like fucking Rick and Morty or some shit. Like, that is so stupid. God. You can't even write it. Like, Kids on Fire Camp in Devil's Lake, North Dakota with fucking evil Becky Fisher. And
praising Jesus, though. Oh my god.
But I went and I like looked, and she like posts a bunch of like Facebook like memes of like her Bitmoji with like a bunch of text, and it'll be like her Bitmoji like, you know, in prayer hands with like flames around it, and then it'll have like a quote of like, you know, you need to circumcise your kids because God said so or whatever. Like, but it's just like all these like whack fucking like Bitmoji memes from Becky Fisher is just like is so absurd.
Like that's insane, but also like one of the things that I like, also like the farthest from like insane thing about this movie is that I was waiting for it. It was 10 minutes until the immediate hard racism kicked in. Which, of course, it's 2006, and they pray to George Bush. Like, what else do you fucking expect? But she's sitting there talking about how useful kids are as weapons, and being like, oh, well, all the little Palestinian kids, they give AK-47s and all that shit. And it was, dude, she just was hammering away at it. I was like, oh my god. You can't even softball me into this movie? Like, you really... Great.
I think this is, like, really one of the, you know, best post 9/11, like, examples of culture war that there is, because she basically, she sounds borderline like she's praising them. She's like, over in Palestine, you wouldn't believe it. They're arming those kids up, and it's obviously something that is, she's, you know, opposed to. It's us versus them, it's us versus Palestine, but she almost sounds like, wow, doesn't that sound so great? We need to get on that. Because basically absolutely. she's like they got to it first, so we have to gear up. And she's like, and that's why these kids in this impressionable age group are so important to me.
Yeah,
and
as
why
she's literally
anyone didn't immediately not let her be around children anymore. It's
as
just
she's
so
literally
wild.
saying, like, I'm not like going after my kids politically. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, the amount of the, oh my god, like, the negative self-awareness that you have is crazy. And, like, I never thought that I would be, like, watching this documentary and agreeing with Mike, the radio host.
Yes!
He called himself a conservative. He is now a moderate. I am certain of that with the way things are going. If he thought the state of the Republican Party was bad in that way in 2006, I know that man's a moderate, if not liberal at this point.
I know, like, he begrudgingly voted for Joe Biden kind of situation.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, this movie is kind of bookended by this great little narration from a local self-defined conservative Christian talk show host who is like, yes, I subscribe to these beliefs, but I do not think that this specific thing is okay. And he kind of gets
not
in
what
like
the Bible said. Like,
like
Jesus preached peace. Like, what are we doing? You're literally trying to like make an army of evangelical Christians.
And he does get into sort of like a cordial but heated debate with Becky, who calls into his radio station being like, well, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's like, I'm not indoctrinating them. I'm just teaching them like the truth, which is like, okay, way to like dodge. Yeah. Very political of you, Becky. But Becky's like a really interesting character. And you were talking about Andrew, the kid who like maybe has some of the most like violent crying scenes in this movie, which are just like so upsetting because he gets up there and he cannot be older than 7, 8. He's a little kid, and he gets up there and he's like, oh, I have a hard time believing in God sometimes because like you can't see him, you can't hear him, so it's like you just have to believe. And all the other kids are like side-eyeing each other like, oh my god, are we about to gang up on little Andrew? But as an adult, like doing ayahuasca, trying to reclaim his trauma, all that. But he said, and he's like, oh, was I abused? Would I take it back? No, like, because I had to go through that to like get to, where I am now. And obviously if you grew up in that kind of situation, it's like, how recovering heroin addicts like run marathons and shit because they got to do something fucking extreme. Like if you grew up like that, you got to do some extreme shit to fill that part of your like life, because like obviously you're going to feel incredibly connected to like spirituality and like that kind of stuff because it's all you've like ever known. So it makes sense to me that he is so like invested in this other kind of, spiritual. But he said, Becky Fisher is a terrible fucking person who is fueled off the spiritual suffering of others. And I think that is so true because she in every scene seems like she is just basking in the limelight, that she loves getting up there and doing her little bit. And it has nothing to do with her love of God. It's that she's like a fucking attention whore, basically. One of my favorite scenes is just of her hair spraying her hair. Yeah. For like 10 minutes, they just show her shh, 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 and she goes, oh, I get exhausted doing this. Yep. It's so funny. And then she gets out there and she says to a bunch of little kids who just signed up for her summer camp, how do I look? How's my hair? They all like tentatively clap. And she goes, my nails? I'm like, you are getting off on this. It is so fucked.
It's crazy. You were so right when you called her the Abby Lee Miller of evangelicals.
She is. That's like what she is serving me.
Yeah, no, it's disgusting because like you see the way that she's affected it, because there was one scene where Levi is like basically word for word like regurgitating what she said, talking about like it's so like how the whole world is such trash and we need to change it and the world is disgusting and horrible. Like it's so fucking grim. Like you have that outlook at 12 years old. Oh my god. Yeah, like, which buddy, maybe if you shave the rat tail, you'll have a better feeling. Like,
oh my god, Henry! I watched this with Henry, and I've made him watch this like maybe a handful of times with me, so he knows it well. But he was like, Dara, that's the combination of you and Emily. It's Emily in the front and Dara in the back, like his little haircut.
Dude, should I grow out a rat tail? Yes or no?
Yeah, so my plan with my hair right now is that it's super long. I want it to get even longer, and I want to get 2 little rat tail braids for either side that go around to like roughly like the belly button area, and then cut the rest really short. So I have 2 like insane like Padawan braids.
That's pretty sick.
That's my goal because I don't like have to really look professional ever. So And I'm afraid of dyeing it because it'll kill it. So I'm like, I got to do something stupid. I got to like grow out some rat tails or something.
I like that for you. That sounds like you.
He also never like braids it. I'm like, can you please, if you're gonna have a little rat tail, can you just braid it?
Braid
like he's just leaving it like full mullet. It's like the most aggressive mullet I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
Also his shirt that says Jesus, but it's in like the Reese's Pieces font.
So fucking funny. But it's also like that, and like the song like Jesus Christ is in the house today, we're kicking it for Christ, like all that shit.
Do you want to hear my performance? I know every word.
Yeah, please go on. We might get copywritten.
No way, because I'm not that good at singing, so or like rapping, so I won't.
Okay.
But I was rapping this along with the movie, and Henry goes, "How do you know this?" And I look at him, and he's like, "Have you really seen this movie that many times?" So I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
He was born to a virgin named Mary on Christmas Day. He bled and he died on the cross to take sin away. We take him high. We take him low. We take JC wherever we go. Now tell me who's in the house. JC, tell me who's in the... I know every word. It's a piece of art. It's awful. And it's terrifying. And they're all like doing like flag spinning to this like Christian rap song. I am obsessed.
It's so crazy because like that's what's so jarring about this movie is like it's intercut with like the most like absurd bullshit like whack like little dance numbers by these poor little Christian kids, and then like it cuts to these like little boys in their cabin at night like telling ghost stories, and their counselor coming in and saying, "That's not what Jesus would want. What are you doing? This is not the way that we serve the Lord." Like, oh.
Praised be unto Jen. She's here. She has descended from her residence in the heavens, and she is here to grace us with her presence and with an interim podcast segment called Chocolate or Vanilla, of your invention, of your divine creation. You say two things. We all just say which one we like better. Maybe this is what sin would this be? This would be like vanity, probably. Right? Because I think my opinion is better, maybe, or like gluttony. But whether it be sinful or not, we are here to share our opinions. Jen, how are you? And is there a theme this week?
I am really good. There's a theme. These are all movies under 90 minutes.
Woo! Slay! See, that is not a sin. That's the opposite of a sin. That's a blessing. A director who respects my time gets nothing but praises from me. So,
because Jesus Camp is like 85 minutes, I think. Yeah. And I couldn't come up with another theme because I just don't know where you're going with this one.
I don't think we do either, but we definitely have a lot to say.
So, chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Should I pick chocolate because it's more gluttonous?
No, you have to speak your truth. You have to like own your sins.
Vanilla.
Or you could lie. Lying's a sin. You could be a phony and a faker.
Yeah, a gluttonous liar.
A gluttonous phony faker. So, in real life, I was presented again with this. My friend Jess bought cupcakes for Margaret's birthday, and she's like, "Hey Jen, chocolate or vanilla?" Wink wink, because she knows about the pod.
And you picked vanilla.
I took the vanilla cupcake, so I'm gonna go vanilla.
Because Jen, you say that you have strong beliefs. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to lean into this like religious, motifs thing. It's not really working, but you were tested. Your beliefs were put to the test, and you failed.
You wavered.
You're not ready to die for your God. I'm a chocolate
faker. I'm a fraud. Big fraud. All right. First one: Dumbo or Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast. I always thought Dumbo was like a little too slow and like not enough talking for me as a kid.
I don't remember Dumbo, but like I don't really like Beauty and the Beast very much. So I'll go for Dumbo because they have that crazy trippy scene.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Beauty and the Beast. Next one: Nightmare Before Christmas or What We Do in the Shadows?
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen What We Do in the Shadows. That's usually one that I watch when I'm like trash drunk. So like I only retain like a very little of it. But I will pick that one because I think The Nightmare Before Christmas, although it really spoke to me as a middle schooler, has certainly lost its touch that it had for me.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time last year, I think. Didn't really do it for me. And I haven't watched the movie What We Do in the Shadows, but I've watched a good handful of the TV show, and it's beautiful, outstanding. So I can only imagine that it's directly in the same vein, so I'll choose that.
Yeah, I'm going to take What We Do in the Shadows. Next one is Shiva Baby or This Is Spinal Tap.
This is Spinal Tap? I've never seen that. I've never even heard of that.
Oh, I think it's pretty famous. I thought you guys would have seen it.
I haven't seen it. I have heard of it, but I don't know shit about it.
Yeah, what is it about?
I think I feel like it's got like Clockwork Orange vibes.
Oh, interesting. But I do love Shiva Baby, and that's a movie that I was like, damn, because that also has like an incredibly short runtime. You can just do a cute little rewatch of Shiva Baby just like in between, like, you know, folding your laundry and doing something else. Like, it goes so fast. So definitely love that one.
Easily Shiva Baby. That movie taps into my brain. I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen either of these, so I'm going to pick Shiva Baby for 77 minutes on that one, by the way.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Next one is Toy Story or Borat.
I like the movie Borat, and I think it's one of my, like, I feel kind of bad because I know that there are like things about it that are kind of problematic. Pleasure. But I'm sorry. I think it's fucking funny. And I think it's the way people criticize it, I think that it's self-aware and overcoming those criticisms, but that also might be like me turning on the blinders to it. It's like, you know, it's the same thing about Avatar. You know, I wish James Cameron was doing this for the right reason, so I'm just gonna let myself believe
You're
that.
allowed to have a pass on some things, you know? You can't always have the correct, or not correct opinion, but like the politically correct opinion. And that's okay.
Yeah.
If the worst,
I like the movie Borat.
If the worst opinion you have is that you like Borat, then I'm right there with you. I'm choosing Borat.
I'm gonna go Toy Story, but next one, Green Mile or Gone with the Wind. Haha, just kidding. Too long movies.
Jen, you prankster. You devious little prankster, Jen. Are you actually having us pick between these two?
Yeah, pick between them just for giggles, yeah.
But it was the Green Mile and what, Forrest Gump?
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. Oh, I really fucking, that's too much. The Green Mile was like the book that I had an experience with a little too young that I was like, oh, I shouldn't have read that. No, this is too old for me. Which is like, I did not have that thought about like most things, but this was like, oh yeah, I'm in 7th grade. They should not be letting me read this at SSR.
See, the one for me, I also read it at SSR, was A Boy Called It, about like,
oh my god,
like violent child abuse, which is honestly on par for the movie that we're discussing today.
Yeah.
But I will not pick Green Mile. I will pick Gone with the Wind, because that movie it's fucking brutal. I'm sorry. That's too much for me.
It's 238 minutes, Gone with the Wind is.
I've only seen bits and pieces, but like still.
Yeah, I actually read the book just because I felt like I had to. I think the book was as lame as the movie. I'm going to take Green Mile.
Well, I heard you dragged Dara to the movies for for Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, we did go see Gone with the Wind in the movie theater, which was like whack as fuck.
Next one is Fruitvale Station or Zombieland.
Fruitvale Station. I don't know what that is.
That's the one with Michael B. Jordan, and it's a true story about the kid who got shot or killed by the cops while waiting for a train.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
That sounds horribly sad. What was my other option? Zombieland?
Zombieland.
I mean, I guess I'll pick Zombieland because I have seen it.
Not the horribly sad one. Yeah, Zombieland.
I'll go Zombieland too. Next one, Fantastic Mr. Fox or Lion King?
Easy.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. Yeah, no contest. I'm sorry. I love Elton John, but I'm sorry. No match.
Listen, that fox certainly is fantastic, and that's why I'm gonna pick him.
Me too. Fantastic Mr.
movie.
Fox, for sure. Next one, both these movies are 89 minutes. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On or Stand By Me?
Oh, those are two of my favorites. I think, honestly, I'll pick Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, though, because that movie just, like, really knocked my socks off. I do love Stand By Me, though, but there, you know, if right now I had to pick which one I want to watch right now, it would be Marcel.
I haven't seen either of these movies, but I already know that I would prefer Marcel. So.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Marcel the Shell because I'm deep in Oscar mode right now, and I thought it was so good. I want it to win for animated
I hope
movie.
so.
Which it's kind of, in my opinion, kind of controversial that it's up for animated because it is stop motion, but it's like filmed in a live, like there are people in it. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, where do we draw the line?
Yeah. I definitely agree. Next one is, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. Sorry, I should have asked at the beginning.
I'll pick strawberry because my new microphone is a beautiful pink.
I feel like you never pick strawberry. Impressive.
Yeah, I'm feeling wild.
I'll stick with vanilla right now.
All right, I will stick with vanilla also. This one's Liar Liar, The Bling Ring, or Daddy Daycare.
Easy.
Oh my god. Daddy Daycare was like my little brother Ryan's like favorite movie growing up, so that was one we like watched on DVD until it like fucking broke. But I always remember it being like, oh, we're putting this on for Ryan. So I'm like, oh, guess I'll tolerate some Daddy Daycare. But I will pick, what was my first option? Bling Ring, Daddy Daycare, or...
Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
That one's stupid. Even though I've never seen it, I'll pick the Bling Ring.
That's the right answer. I think you'd like it, Derek. The Bling Ring is good. It's camp as fuck.
That is the right answer. And you guys should do that on the pod.
Absolutely.
Right?
We'll get to it for sure.
You could do MMA Watson. Because that's not really her middle name.
That's not,
nope.
No. Next one is Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Ice Age.
I've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and as like a self-proclaimed film person, it might be like sacrilegious for me to say this, but like I'm gonna pick Ice Age.
See, and this is one of those things that I have really strong opinions about, for no particular reason, but I don't fuck with Ice Age. Like, hard don't fuck with it. Like, as a kid, like, that movie would be on, I would not watch it. Like, we were at daycare, I went to the other room and I hung out with my daycare provider, because I don't like that movie. So I'll pick Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though I haven't seen it. And I know it's probably too gory for me, but you know what? I'd rather do that.
Same opinion, but I'm gonna go with Ice Age because I would never pick like a horror movie like that.
I think that would.
I also agree. I was underwhelmed by the Ice Age franchise.
Yeah, just didn't cut it. That ugly baby.
The Ice Age baby.
So now, last one. My Neighbor Totoro or Iron Giant.
Ooh.
Oh, those are two heavy hitters, Jen, but I love the Iron Giant. I love that movie almost in an untouchable way. Like, I don't think we could cover it on the pod because I think it would be like, I can't do it. I love the Iron Giant too much. So yeah, definitely. My Neighbor Totoro is great too, but I'm an Iron Giant girly through and through.
Yeah, as much as I am a Miyazaki bitch, I didn't love My Neighbor Totoro. It's just not one that really spoke to me. I don't know. So I'll go with the Iron Giant because, yeah, it is a childhood classic.
Yeah, I love the Iron Giant. So that is what I will pick too. And that's it.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. Praise to be unto you. I don't know enough like religious phrases to continue this bit, but God bless you. A pod bless you, and and we'll see you next week.
All right, I love you guys. Have a good night.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
My favorite. So like there are 3 Becky Fisher moments that I'm gonna like rank of my top 3.
Okay.
And number 3 is may God bless this PowerPoint presentation. You know that the devil, you love to do, meetings dirty like this. The second is when she's in her office making said PowerPoint presentation and she like changes the font. It says like
blood.
Death. It says like death be unto sinners or like something like that. And she's like, I think there's a good blood font in here somewhere.
Yep.
And graphic design is her passion.
Absolutely. If only she had like some like to put all of her energy into some other thing. Like I bet she
And my number one Becky Fisher moment is when she says, "And while I'm on the subject, let me say something about Harry Potter. Warlocks are enemies of God, and I don't care what kind of hero they are. Had it been in the Old Testament, Harry Potter would have been put to death. You do not make heroes of warlocks." Becky Fisher,
God.
pop off, queen. And then literally just, I always feel like we pick movies at like the weirdest times because things will always start coming up on like my timeline.
Oh,
like,
God.
Like, we went on a great podcast called You've Got to See This, and we covered After Sun, and literally that same day, like, it's like 30-year anniversary.
That's simply not the movie that was
After Sun! Before Sunrise.
Sorry, Dara's in full Oscar mode right now.
Oh my god. Speaking of, if anyone wants us to do an Oscars episode, I don't think we did one last year, but I think we did one the year before where we kind of like live covered the Oscars. We could either do like a live stream or we could do an episode of it. I want to gauge y'all's interest, so maybe I'll like run an Instagram poll, but also if you're like in the Oscars race or whatever, just send us a little like, hey, I would like that, or tell me what your thoughts are, because I am balls deep in the Oscar race right now. But yeah, I always feel like whatever movie we pick, I'm like all of a sudden seeing a ton of it online. But today, literally today, the Onion, obviously a great publication, fake publication to follow.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say. I saw this.
Posted evangelical leaders announced that J.K. Rowling is finally bigoted enough that it is okay for kids to read about witchcraft.
Yup.
So funny. I was like, why is this so, like, literally frame that next to, like, Becky's Harry Potter speech.
Please.
I was walking around my apartment today saying, and had it been in the Old Testament, Harry Potter would have been put to death. Okay, Miss Becky.
So does she still have a camp that runs? Is it a different camp?
I believe so. Yes, it's a different camp under a different name. It's called Kids with Christian Purpose to Spread Awareness or some shit like that. That's not what it is, but it's something like that.
God is inside your children.
Right, and the crazy thing is though is that all these people can do whatever they want because this is not illegal. Nothing that they're doing is illegal. Is that we can't nobody can stop them from treating kids this way because their parents are signing all the forms, letting them do whatever. It's like a culture problem, not like I don't know, which is even more upsetting for whatever reason. But so to get into that though, so then after this life guy comes in and preaches about abortion and the camp kind of ends, and then we move on basically into the third act, I guess you would say, which is kind of like the post camp, what's going on with all these people's lives. And Levi and his little brother go to the New Life Church in Colorado Springs, which was really one of the biggest mega churches, evangelical mega churches at the time. And Ted Haggard is the guy they show him preaching, and he is charismatic to the way that these people find him to be charming and hilarious, but to an outsider, he's just gross and icky. He's making jokes about oh, I saw what you did behind your wife's back. Let me out you for money. Ha ha ha. It was so weird. He's just so strange, but he basically then has a little chat with Levi where he's basically oh, you want to be a preacher? Are you relying on the shtick that you're a little kid, or is your content actually good? Which I'm what kind of fucking way is that to lift up a little? I mean, obviously his intention was not to lift him up, but I'm can you be nice to this little 12-year-old boy? Are you fucking kidding me?
For real.
But Ted Haggard was a close personal friend of George Bush's and was an informal advisor to him during George Bush's presidency. He didn't have a cabinet position or anything, but he was really buddy with George Bush. But so this movie came out in 2006, and Ted Haggard got formally asked to step down. He was the founder of the New Life Church and their head pastor, and he was asked to step down because this sex worker came forward, male sex worker came forward and was I have been in a consensual, paid, transactional relationship with Ted Haggard for 3 years, and we do so much meth together.
That doesn't shock me in the slightest.
He's I sell him meth and I fuck him in the ass for money, and it's getting to the point where he's a big enough figure that I think I have to say something, because it's And so he basically, there was this whole, like, I don't know if there was a trial or whatever, but he like had to formally step down. So the New Life Church is still running, and they just have different, you know, people who run it now. But he has his own church, separate. He formed his own one, which is not, I don't think it's categorized as a mega church or whatever. But him and his wife are still together, and he, to this day, like, will say, like, oh, like, homosexuality, it was just a sin for me. Like, it's just my temptation. But it's like, I'm not gay, but it's like, it's my, you know, it's my sin and my temptation, and that's what I need to work on.
Oh my god!
So fucking absurd.
The delusion. The delusion.
His poor wife. But yeah,
I can't feel bad for any wives that are like in relationships with men like this. Like,
yeah, actually, I'm sure she's like pretty complicit and benefiting off of it. But yeah, so he had to like formally step down from the New Life Church. But yeah, you can read. There's all this like scandal in evangelicalism in like the early 2000s. Ted Haggard, turns out, gay meth addict.
Jesus Christ.
Which I know everyone's like going through their shit, but like I cannot believe he got up there and was like, homosexuality is a sin. Where I'm like, you have a date out back with Brad.
Yeah.
Like,
Brad's
buddy.
texting your BlackBerry.
No.
Ugh, God.
But yeah, then all the kids are back in DC protesting with the life guy, and the creepiest line, like, that tape looks really good on your mouth. He's like putting this like duct tape over their mouth that's his life, and they're all like standing outside of some building for whatever fucking reason. I'm sure a ton of people have this same opinion. This is not like an original thought of mine, but I used to live next to a Planned Parenthood, and every Sunday, a big group of people from a church would go stand outside the Planned Parenthood and like, and pastors all of it with like signs and shit. And every day I looked at my window and I thought, like, what if all of you went and volunteered at like an orphanage or like a homeless shelter, or just like, what if all of you took the time you're spending protesting in front of this Planned Parenthood and like did something productive to help these supposed people that you're trying to save? Like, yeah, again, this is nothing groundbreaking, but I'm like, God, if you're all gonna go protest for like pro-life shit, go to a fucking orphanage where there are babies that like need help. I don't know. Yeah. So stupid.
Because Christianity sucks.
But then there's this great little post-credit scene where they're all out about in DC, and little Rachel, she walks up to a group of people and she's like, so where do you guys think you're going when you die? And they're like, heaven? And she's like, are you sure? And she's like fucking like bullying these people out who are just like trying to have like a fucking picnic, like out just on the common, chilling. And they're like, yeah, I guess we think we're going to heaven. And she's like, well, can you be sure? Like, can you be sure? And they're like, who the fuck is this unsupervised 10-year-old like telling us we're going to hell? And then they're walking away and she goes, I think they were Muslim. Absolutely wild. This movie is wild.
I didn't catch that scene. Oh my god.
It's like the post credits, you know, as soon as the credits start rolling, it's a little Marvel blooper for the next one, if you will.
Fuck off. Oh my god. This makes me terrified to like travel like west.
Well, I've never been
just, like, I've
to
never,
like middle America, so I don't know what, but I'm sure people, I mean, the most middle America person I've ever met is from Ohio, so I think that's really saying something about me. But this is like they're in like Kansas City, Missouri, and North Dakota is the camp. Yeah. So
yeah, like I don't like this. Just like I feel like I didn't realize like how big the evangelicalism thing is.
Yeah, have you ever seen The Righteous Gemstones?
No.
So not to get into like, this would be like what one of my follow-ups was, but there's this really, really fucking funny HBO show called The Righteous Gemstones, and it's a comedy show about like a mega church, like a family that owns a mega church. And it's like clearly satire about how they're so fucked up.
Of course.
And like and greedy, and they all live in mansions and stuff, but it's Danny McBride, and it is so hilarious. It is just like, yeah, it's like a big Midwestern mega church that they all run. It's Bumper from fucking Pitch Perfect.
Maybe? I think so.
Yeah, he's like not the one that Anna Kendrick gets with, but the one that Rebel Wilson gets with, who's that he plays like a youth pastor character.
Oh my god, he's made for that.
who like has like a god squad of like ripped men that just follow him around all the time. It's so funny. If you like laughing at this kind of stuff, definitely Righteous Gemstones on HBO. I live for it. I think it's so funny.
But on that note, do we want to get into our regularly scheduled programming?
Yeah, I don't think that we can like do fuck, marry, kill.
No.
Like that's
I
not.
I wasn't planning on suggesting that. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's out of the questions for this.
Yeah, I mean,
I just want to kill everyone.
I do. Yeah, I
just want to kill every
violent.
adult that appears in this movie.
Yeah, I like actually like I'm like barking at my TV. Ugh,
yeah,
so upsetting. But yeah, so I guess if we're moving on from that, what we would eat and drink with this? Did you have any forward thoughts?
So I have two options. I actually have a bit of a game, honestly. And I think we did this for like Lady Bird, basically.
Okay.
But this one's more random because I think with Lady Bird, we're like you either the party, you're hosting a party, you're watching this movie.
Yes.
For that one, it was like everyone decides if you're a ladybird or if you're a ladybird's mom.
Oh my god.
So for this one, it's if you are a sinner or if you've gotten saved. And it's basically you pick like a piece of like cup like out of the hat.
Yeah,
basically.
I love this. You've really thought this through.
Yeah. So if you are if you've been saved by God, I'm gonna give you holy water. And by holy water, I mean ranch water. Because I mean honestly, pretty solid. Pretty solid.
I think you should serve it in emptied out little Nestle Life bottles.
Absolutely.
That would be hilarious.
So you're going to have a ranch water with this because I'm not going to deprive you of your booze, all right? You need to be drunk for this movie. It's fucked. And then what you're going to get with it is the body of Christ. But I will throw you a bone and you can put a piece of cheese on a Ritz cracker. That's what you get if you've been saved. However, on the other side, I'm gonna give you sinful options. If you are a sinner, I'm gonna give you some gluttonous options here. So for a drink, of course, a sex on the beach.
Yep.
Classic. Can't go wrong. I mean, really just disgusting and dirty and sinful of you. And then for your food option, I'm gonna have you make yourself some loaded French fries.
I would be so pissed if I go to this party and I pull that I'm getting saved and I get cheese on a Ritz cracker and fucking ranch water and everyone next to me is eating loaded French fries and sex on the beaches. I would be livid. I would be livid.
I just think it would really put this movie into more of a perspective. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Really make you think.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your food pairing and drinks?
So the only like thing to directly pull from the movie really is that kid's Jesus shirt in the Reese's Pieces font really made me think like I want a fucking Reese's right now. So I think you could just eat like a straight up Reese's, cup Pieces product of your choice. But you could also like get fun and bake with it, like a slutty brownie. I know is like a Reese's peanut butter cup brownie and an Oreo, like definitely leaning into that. But just
that's also
I was
very
like
gluttonous of you.
He wears that shirt for most of the movie, and I'm like, yeah, I'm reading it as Reese's, and that's what I want. Then again, pretty direct devil, the devil, do a devil's food cake, make a big old chocolate cake, also very gluttonous. But then, yeah, I was thinking, like, do your personal most gluttonous, like, what is your vice? Yeah. What is your thing that makes you feel like, ooh, like I maybe should not, which will differ from person to person. But for me, like I drink too much white wine. So like I would drink white wine straight from the bottle, not even a glass. And that's like my vice, my sin. And again, maybe like, probably just like a fucked up grilled cheese or like something that's a lot of bread and cheese would be,
of
course. Or like make a gluttonously gross meal to eat and really just bask in it while you watch this movie and just, this is another one that you don't even really need to eat during it because it's pretty short and it's like upsetting and I find myself like on the edge of my seat like leaning into the screen when I watch this. But what would you follow it up with? Because I have like a loose handful.
I have two options.
Okay.
if you need to, both, I think one of them kind of leans into it a little more, but like in a more satisfying way, I guess. And I didn't hate this movie. I know a lot of people didn't love it. I didn't love it, but I thought it was fine. You watch The Devil All the Time, and you watch all of the evangelicals get clapped. So if you want to get, if you want to get like a little bit of, I don't know, like a little satisfaction.
I was really excited because I'm a Tom Holland girly and I'm a Robert Pattinson girly, and I really thought it was going to be great. And I remember being very excited for the release of this movie, and it just falling so flat. Like it was just fine. But I really thought that this was Tom Holland's chance to like prove himself as like a for real, like I can do a drama. And he was in that other movie, Cherry, which also kind of flopped. And I'm like, buddy, maybe you are simply meant for like the action rom-com life. You are our generation's like Mark Wahlberg. You just have to like accept that it's not going to be like that for you. But yeah, maybe he'll prove it. He's still very young. Where do you stand on the Fred Astaire wars? Do you know about that? I think there's other
people that could do it better. But I do know this boy dances, so we'll see.
Yeah, there's 2 Fred Astaire movies coming out. One with him, one with Jamie Bell, who to me is just older. He looks just fucking like Tom Holland. He's just older
Tom Holland.
I saw a great point where somebody said that Mike Faced, who was in the...
Didn't they both play fucking... Oh my god, what's his name? Billy Elliot?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, Jamie Bell and Tom Holland literally
Jamie Bell was the original one in the movie.
Yep, yeah, and Tom Holland did it, forever. A lot of people are saying that Mike Faced, who was in the new West Side Story movie, the Steven Spielberg one.
I saw that.
That he should be, and I was like, ooh,
Absolutely.
I subscribe to that. I saw him on Broadway once, and he was phenomenal. And I was like, I have a huge crush on you, and it's only gotten stronger since. But he had like long, shaggy black hair when I saw him, which like really tickled my pickle.
Yeah, I know that's your type. Side note, I had a friend of mine went and saw Chicago this past weekend on Broadway
with Jinx Monsoon.
She slayed.
I'm gonna bust in my pants. I wanted to go so bad, but like it's just so expensive. Oh, but she's my life.
Apparently, the entire ensemble was phenomenal, and she was outstanding.
I believe it. Well, my biggest flex to this day is that we were guests on a great podcast called Scopophilia. If you ever want to go back and find the link we did an episode about The Favorite on the Scopophilia podcast, and the Scopophilia podcast has had Jinx Monsoon as a guest. So we were I don't want to say booked because it's not like we got paid or anything, but like we were booked as guests on the same podcast that booked Jinx Monsoon. That's crazy. That's
impressive, honestly.
That's my big swamp flex for the most part. Because it makes me feel really famous and cool.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
But so my follow-ups were I do like it makes me want to go watch The Righteous Gemstones, and if you have an HBO subscription and you extracted anything out of this movie, I like highly recommend. It is so funny. It's one of the best written comedies on TV like airing right now, in my opinion. It's so smart. It's so silly and stupid. I like shit that's kind of like maximalist and overly like stupid drama cum flama. That's like my, I don't know, sensibility. And yeah, it's like making fun of mega churches, which is like fucking awesome. But so that's a TV show. But so to go with, I also said 2 more documentaries, because if you're in the mood. And so another one is a documentary that is like sort of similar in this way, but it's also more of the like watching the story as it unfolds. And it's also kind of an older one. And I think I probably watched it around the same time, and it gripped me in the same way, where it's maybe objectively like nothing special, but just to me for some reason just like knocks my socks off. And it's called Tickled, and it's about this tickle fetish website that is paying these college athletes to do these like tickle videos. But then you realize that it's this big like scheme that goes all the way to the top and is being run like by certain people, and this journalist is trying to unfold all of these like tickle fetish videos and like where the money is coming from, and that he keeps getting threatened as it's like this journalist is getting threatened. He's like, why don't people want me to know? So he keeps asking questions, and it's just, again, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's just an interesting documentary to like follow this. He's from New Zealand, this documentary maker who like, as the story is unfolding, he kind of takes you along with him and like why people are so averse to like letting him have this information, because it's like you're not supposed to know kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Tickled, another one I really like. And then if you want to stick to like a religious documentary, like an upsetting religious documentary,
Oh God.
there's this one about like Rumspringa, which is when Amish people like let their children go out into the real world for like however much time to like see if they want to decide to be Amish or be excommunicated. And it's this documentary called The Devil's Playground, and it's basically these kids who go on Rumspringa and just like immediately do crystal meth, like
No!
just immediately are just like don't know how to handle the world and are taken advantage of. But it is like a good picture that gets painted. I haven't watched it in a really, really fucking long time. But just of how, this sheltered life is not conducive to like raising a person who has good decision-making skills or like, you know, a good social tool kit to keep themselves safe. And that's why like these communities are problematic. So yeah, those are two more documentaries that I kind of categorize in the same. Jesus Camp is my number one, but I like these other two for like very similar reasons.
If you want one that's a little more light, I also have Yes God Yes on my list. Which it's like a 78-minute film. It's perfect.
Oh, sexy.
It's Natalia Dyer who plays Nancy in Stranger Things.
I've never seen it, but I love her.
Lady Jesus Camp. It's
Lady
about
Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, basically. But it's about like a Christian Bible camp and everything like that, and it's very much like they're all teenagers, but it's definitely like watching them navigate like the weird like uncomfortableness of like sexuality and things like that during this. And it's a comedy, which is nice and definitely refreshing coming off of what you've just watched. So that would be probably my highest recommendation.
Now that you say that, I also think that either But I'm a Cheerleader or the Miseducation of Cameron Post would also be a good like comedic take on a very upsetting religious thing. Yeah,
have you seen The Miseducation of Cameron Post?
I have.
You feel like it's comedic?
No, but like
that
it's
was
not
pretty upsetting too.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
but, I
just
mean, like,
gay.
Yeah, but I mean, like maybe not as like I don't know, harsh. This movie's really harsh. Yeah, maybe not comedic. That's not the right word, but
yeah. But no, I see what you're saying. But yeah, But I'm a Cheerleader would be a good one too.
Yes, and that is all of our segments for this podcast. Thank you all for listening. This concludes Freaky February, I believe.
Yeah.
Which has been a lot of fun, and we love to always hear your suggestions. We're actually taking a listener suggestion for next month, for March, so stay tuned for that. And going forward, all of that, we love to hear movie suggestions. I think we'll probably be posting one soon pertaining to next month's theme to like get some listener insight, so look out for that on our Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, I'd love to hear just any of your random chocolate or vanilla questions. We haven't answered any listener questions in a while, so maybe I'll post another one of those to see what y'all want to hear from us. But yeah, we love you and we appreciate you. And Oscar stuff. I know I mentioned it earlier, but Jen and I are crazy deep into the Oscars craze, and I know that Emily, you're a little less deep, but still like pretty much, you know, as a movie person, it's hard to not pay attention to it, you
Absolutely.
know? But yeah, so if you would want us to do, because I believe we have tentative plans to watch the Oscars all together. So if you wanted us to do some sort of live stream or maybe like an episode or a live episode, something like that, definitely open to suggestions about that. But just to gauge interest, I don't know, even if like 3 of you would watch our live stream, that would be so cute and nice. and your opinions about the Oscars. I love to talk about Oscar shit with people. So definitely feel free to slide into our DMs about that. And as always, thank you for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. Links to all of our social media, merch, all that good shit is in the bio, as always, as you know. And goodbye, good night, and pod bless.